This thing is live, apparently. I'm not going to do much talking now because apparently it takes a few minutes for this thing to auto-tweet to YouTube. So I'm just going to get going. So I am busy working on block patterns at the moment. And today I'm going to be focusing on block patterns. And I'm also going to be looking at, so this is the wrong issue. One of the other reasons I do these streams is that I wanted to kind of contribute to open source in public. And one of the benefits of my job currently is that I get to do that, which is really cool. And so at the moment, I'm busy working on this block theme course. And theme patterns is one of the modules, which my colleague Justin Tadlock is going to be working on. So he's created an outline. So I'm going to also do some open source work today. So I'm first going to clean up this lesson because I don't need all this stuff. This is going to be super boring. I'm going to assign Justin to this one. And then he's also working on this one. So I'm just cleaning up the original issue. I'm going to assign that to Justin. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, there's module 6 there, and I think it's the same link that he's linked through to. Yeah, module 6, okay. So what I'm going to do after the stream is I'm going to just review his outline and give him feedback there, which is cool. And then I'll leave a comment on the ticket and whatnot. But I'm also doing this as a Let's Code workshop on Thursday. So that's another reason to go through this stuff today. And I'm going to be doing this completely from scratch. So I've read the docs and I know how it all works, but I haven't actually ever worked on it. And I'm also going to change the music because I feel like doing something different today. And this might be a little bit naughty, but I don't care. I can't actually do what I want to do necessarily. Let's do this. Let's do that. I'm going to play that. No, that. Okay, so that's my background music for today. Alrighty. There don't seem to be any users in the chat today, so that's fine. Got no one to talk to. It's all good. We will just get on with it. At the same time, I'm also making a coffee behind me. So if you see me turn around, it's because I'm pouring my coffee. Right.
Legendary land at the center of the earth.
I hear something.
It's coming from below.
I think you've become mad.
Almost as if something is moving below us.
Act a little peculiar and you're an outsider. Perhaps you've always been mad.
We nervous program to bring you a live broadcast from the once defunct but now resurrected lost arts.
Don't you feel it?
Brigham.
Turn the music up a bit. Okay.
Resolution is knowledge. Get your hand on my pocket, no weapon made can conquer my inner pain. defiance, give no respect or alliance. Less men get rich than ones who die trying. Less making commitments, dollars have no bias. Show you how to move in a den full of lions. If the dinner ain't cooking, you gotta know where to find it. Even if you paint pretty, you can't change the climate in my inner city.
Andy, what's up? Yeah, I don't know so much about being a superstar, but super boring stuff. All right. So block patterns. Documentation here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. All of this. It's good. I do stuff like this, so it's cool. This is like part of work, which is great. I get to contribute to WordPress. I get to test new things. I get to play with block themes and all kinds of development stuff. It's good. Can't complain. I've managed to figure out how to get my chat window and things up in my OBS. So yeah, now I've just got to figure out frames and all that other kind of stuff. Do I miss writing? No, because I get to write for my new job as well. So it's a win-win. I do a lot of writing, script writing, course creation, lesson plan writing. So I'm doing writing and development and this and recording tutorials and all kinds of other things. So yeah, I don't have to miss it. That's what I love about this job. Okay, so block patterns. Living the dream. Kind of, yeah. This is always the dream. This is always the dream. Make coffee, write code, teach other people how to make coffee and write code. I should do a live stream on my coffee making process. Okay, so block patterns are predefined block layouts. They are similar to template parts, but they don't have a list for them anyway. So you don't have a list of patterns anywhere in your dashboard, but you can add patterns to various places. You can either register them by just adding them to a patterns folder, which has been included since WordPress 6.0, or you can use register block pattern to register them in PHP. So, just turn the music down a bit. So I'm going to start by using, so this is a footer pattern. So this is just going to be in the pattern directory. And the reason you might use a pattern and not a template part is because patterns can include PHP, and that's the important part. So let's just take this out of here. And let's switch back over to, not this. Which one is it? Forgot how to use PHP still. So I'm working in my Let's Code Workshop theme. And I've got parts and I've got templates. So let's create a patterns directory. And let's create a new PHP file. And let's just call it a footer pattern for now. Don't need to add that to GitHub. And there's a bunch of code. So this is just a footer pattern. I could create this layout in the editor, for example, and then copy it over into a pattern and then update things here. I wonder if maybe I should actually do that. But it might actually be more impactful if I actually do that. So if I actually take, where am I now? If I actually take, have a look at my template part, for example. Okay, so here's a footer template part. So I think what's going to be more impactful is if I actually add, probably powered by WordPress there, and then add another block after that and say copyright 2022. Okay, so that's a good example because often themes will have a copyright section in the footer and users want that to automatically be updated. They don't have to come and change this all the time. So that's a cool example. So if I switch the code grab this out and then switch back here. There is my code. Awesome. But I want this to update every year. So if you know a little bit of PHP, it's going to be PHP date. I think it's just Y, if I'm not mistaken. And then that will update the date every year and replace it with the date. So there's my footer. So it's just footer with text, footer with site title, footer with site title, WordPress banner, and copyright date. I'm guessing the title is probably needed. So let me take all of this out. Let me just take all of this out first. So we'll just make it just that to begin with. Just want to see what happens if I do that. So let's escape here. Switch back to template parts. Okay, I need to refresh this probably. And can I add? So now the question is can I add a pattern? Yes, I should be able to. There's a list of patterns. Okay, so this is something I discovered recently. I need to specify the pattern category for it to show up in this list. This is something I discovered on a previous stream. Here, my coffee making facilities. I'm going to move that over there so that can carry on dripping. So if I switch back to here, I think it talks about. No, it doesn't talk about the field. Does it talk about the fields? It doesn't talk about it. Linking, copy pasting. Oh, here we go. Copy pasting from the editor. Yeah, okay, you can do custom CSS classes, you can do all that kind of stuff. You can register a custom pattern category so that it'll show up. I just want to see here. Okay, so let's just go back to here, and I just want to see what that was. Category, so here we go. So it shows up, so there it shows text and site footer. Okay. So if I leave that like that, I wonder, let me just take out everything but the title. And then I want to see what happens when I refresh this. It doesn't show up in. So the problem is this is loading. These are all being loaded from WordPress somewhere. Not showing mine, so I think I'm going to have to give it a category for it to work. So let's check that. Slug, and let's go categories, block types. Theme slug is let's code workshop theme, and we'll give it footer default. That's fine. It'll be under text and site footer. So let's see what that does. If I add a pattern and I click on text, does it show up? Yes, there it is. Okay. And then that one was site footer category, but we don't have a site footer category because I need to register it. So I think that's going to be the next logical step. So I wonder what happens if I take this out, if I just do title and categories. Let's see if that still shows up. Reverse engineering patterns. Live. So this text. It doesn't show up. So it has to have a slug. So it has to have a slug and it has to have categories. Is that right? 3 columns. Yeah. So that's when we're on text. Okay, so now we've made that change. So now it's got a slug and categories. Okay. I go to text. And there it's showing up. I see there's an error in it, which is fine. But it is definitely showing up, which is good. Okay, so definitely needs a category and it also needs a slug. Okay, perfect. And then obviously a title. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to register the site footer category. I'm going to create, so for that, I'm going to create a functions.php. And all I'm going to use that for is to register the category. Register block category, and then it's going to be site footer. And the label is site footer. And the theme slug is let's code workshop theme. Okay, so that should work. So let's check that. If you're wondering why I'm switching on the list view, just because it's easier to add things. So if we go here, site footer, there it is. Okay, perfect. Now I want to see if I take away the slug, it should break. Let's test that. Yeah, so there's site footers registered, but there's nothing registered to site footer, so it doesn't show up. Okay, perfect. And obviously, if I don't add it to the category, then it won't display. So it needs a title, it needs a slug, and it needs categories. So those 3 are required. Perfect. And then, oh, that's why it's showing an error, because that should be a P. Okay, so that should work now. Let's pop over here. Let's add a pattern and go to site footer. And there it is. Okay, awesome. So now, if I go insert after, and I add that pattern, that's going to pop that in there, which is awesome, because then I can just remove this top group there. So now my footer contains a pattern. So let's see what that code looks like. Okay, so it actually inserts the code. Interesting. Okay, so let's remove all of this. And it's going to add the pattern again. Yeah, I think it's added it properly. No, so it actually just adds, it just takes the code from the pattern, because that's a group. Block group, align wide, flex wrap. Okay, so it just takes the code from the pattern and it inserts it into the template. Okay, that's cool. Living the dream. Can you define the order? I think I just did that. So hopefully that answers your question. I hope that's what you're asking for. But basically, yeah. If I had, let me actually exit out of this and not save any changes. And go back in and go back to the template part and go back to the list and then insert the pattern after it. Okay, so now they're next to each other. So what you can do is you can grab this group and you can either just move it up there, or you can drag it here in the list view and just move them around up and down there. That's one of the reasons I like the list view, because then you can see the order that they're in and you can figure out where things go, and then you can expand it. But as we can see, it's basically just taking the pattern code and inserting it in. It doesn't actually put it in some kind of pattern, which is interesting. I would have thought it would have been like a pattern block or something. I don't know why. I just did. Okay. So that covers that. And so in the introduction, I just wanted to talk about what patterns are and how they work. We can talk about deregistering them. And then for the actual using, I was going to do an image and comments. So we can do that now. So let's do the image now. Before I do that, let me pour my coffee. Coffee poured live on screen, folks. Doesn't get any fresher than that. Okay, so what I also wanted to do is I wanted to use register block pattern to register a pattern in code. And the way that works is like this. So let's do that. So that's a footer pattern. Let's have a look at this. So this is a block pattern. So we'll start. So here's where it's going to get interesting. So we're going to call this an image of some kind. So let's go find an image. Open verse. Let's go and find an image. Let's search for an image with a pattern. I like water. I don't know why I like water. I just do. Okay, so this is going to be a water pattern. So we're going to download this image. And the recommended, let's go original size, which is not very big, which is fine. The recommended location is to put it in your, what site am I in? I think it's WordPress. In your theme, in a folder called assets, and then in another folder called images. It doesn't matter where it is, but I think that's like the recommended area. And let's go water pattern. Okay. So now I can add an image, but what I want to do is I want to add it from the block editor. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just change these quickly. I don't want that one anymore. That can stay like that. I don't worry about that right now. So let's say in my index template, actually let's say in my header template part, I want to add this image. So above the group, insert before, I want to add a cover block with an image. And what this is going to do is this is going to add it to my media library, which is fine. But eventually I want to link it directly back to that path. I think there was an error uploading that image. Okay, that's fine. Let's remove the cover. Let's just see if I can add the image to the media library first. Oh dear. I broke my website. That's funny. Okay, well, let's debug that. Oh, it's all of this. It's because I got all of this, that's why. Live coding, folks. I've forgotten how to comment my code. Let's do it manually. Okay, let's try that again. Okay. So let's add that water pattern quickly. So I'm adding this to the media library, but eventually I want to link to this image in the theme when I export this data. Okay, so there's that, and let's go back to the editor. And let's go edit the header. And then let's insert the cover block and select the image. Okay, it looks awful. I know. Just make it white. Just for the fun of it. I know it looks terrible. I'm not a designer. Okay, so that's that. So now I'm going to view this code. So there's the cover block. Okay, so I'm going to copy that out. And I'm going to delete the rest of it. So that's back to normal. That's great. And now I'm going to add this image here. So I'll be honest, this is one of the things I don't like about registering patterns in PHP. Is this... Go away. That's Copilot, by the way, in case you're wondering. Is this way of doing things and the content has to be less like string and it's all horrible. So I think it'll be better to actually put this in the patterns folder. So this is one way to do it. I'm probably not going to worry about it. I'll just mention it in the workshop perhaps. But I think it's better to do it in a pattern, what I'm doing. So let's do this. And let's call it cover image. And we'll do that. And we'll pop the code in. Okay, so that's the code. Not going to lie, I love the fact that block code is effectively just HTML code. I know many people don't like it, but I do. I'm just weird that way. And then we'll just format this nicely. And now the advantage here is that we can PHP this. So I think you can actually take out that URL. I'm not sure. We'll see. I know you can take out the ID because it's not going to have an ID in the template. And you can change this to be the actual image, which will be something like, let's see if it's in here. I don't have any current examples handy, but I do know where I can find one. So 2023 does this. 2023 has a pattern for adding an image. I think it is the footer default. I'm actually not sure. I have to find one. Postmeta maybe? One of them has an image. Could have sworn I saw it somewhere. I wonder if it's in functions. There is no functions, so it's not there. Okay, so it'll be get theme directory, I think it is. Get get temp directory. Yeah, so it'll be get template directory. No, get template directory URI.
Kool-Aid, get your Kool-Aid.
I just cut my finger.
This is Kool-Aid. You want first aid. Turn left. Step right up. Okay, come on.
Yeah, retrieves the template directory for the URI of the current theme. Yeah, here we go. Use this if you want to link to an image. There we go. So we do that. Let's just do that. And then it's going to be this. And then it's going to be assets, images, water pattern. Assets, images, water pattern. Okay, that should work. And then we can do the same up here, which we might not need. So we'll see. That should work. And then we're going to need to give it these things. So this is a cover image. Cover image, water pattern. And I'll just call it cover image. And I'm just going to make it, I don't know, what are the categories? Buttons, columns, gallery, headers, we'll call it headers. I'll leave it like that. Okay, so that should work. I'll take this out for now. Okay, yeah. So let's refresh this. And then if I search to add a pattern and I go to headers, I should see, I don't see my water image. Probably got the category wrong. Oh, it's just header. Okay. Let's fix that. What if there's a list of those categories somewhere?
Made a remarkable discovery.
Oh, there's the example of the images. Damn it. I could have found it there. I must remember to escape the URL. And look, yeah, the image doesn't need to be there in the image block. That's what I thought.
They're here. Don't say a word. They've tracked me. Do you have a gun? No, I have no weapons.
Yeah, there isn't a list of pattern categories. We could probably find it though. We went to this function in the documentation. Oh, this is where I was. So if we search through core code, we would probably find, yeah, there we go. So that might be useful to include. So it's buttons, columns, featured, footer, gallery, header, text, query. So this might actually be useful to mention in either the workshop or update the documentation. I'm going to make some notes here before I forget. So I'm going to go to my online workshop and I'm going to make some notes for myself. I'm going to say introduction, block patterns. And I'm going to start with registering a pattern in PHP because I don't like that so much because it's wonky. But I'm going to show how to do it, and I'll show it with a simple like 2-button pattern or something, which I'll cover just now. And then we'll go with registering a pattern with a file in the patterns directory. This will be useful to cover for plugin developers, I guess. Patterns directory, and then here we'll be able to talk about pattern header, title, slug, and category. And we're going to registering a pattern category. I think that should be good. And then let's say we will do the footer pattern. And then registering a pattern with an image. And then over here, we will talk about the stuff, pattern categories. Yeah, and then we can maybe talk about internationalization a little bit. That's optional because I'm doing another module on that anyway. Okay. Now I want to see my pattern working. So let's go back to the header. Just refresh this. Go back to the header. And now I want my user to add a pattern. And the cover image has got an error in it. So let's see what the bug is. I think it might be this. So I'm going to take this out. Don't think I need to worry about that. I don't like the way PHP Storm wraps some of these things. I'm going to do that. Okay, that should be good now. So let's refresh. And let's actually do this on one of the templates. Why not? So let's go to index and let's, after the header, let's add a pattern. And there's my, I wonder what the problem is. Wonder if it's not finding the image. That's probably the problem.
Chemical could have affected your brain.
Too much.
Doctor, possible perhaps. I do know that the drug does have side effects on the
Wonder if it's because of. Actually, let's do this. Finish this. Let's add the pattern.
All right, then we'll try this.
I want to view the code for this pattern.
Going to do it. He'll kill us all if you don't get us out of here now.
He sealed himself below forever.
It's best that way.
The image exists. Yeah, the image still exists in the pattern, so I don't think that's the problem. Yeah, the image is there.
I hope so.
So what's the problem with the block? Okay, so I'm going to remove this.
You can become my partner. Your partner? Good-looking guy, well dressed. Duck your head, Marlowe. Come in, come in.
Nah. Business hours been 9 to 5 since turn of time.
But he refused to see me.
Yeah. Ask your mom about it.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm going to change the music a little bit because that's not what I wanted. Oh. Okay, let's put something else on. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to create a new template to see why this is happening. And I'm just going to all of that out. Okay. So that was the old code. And then see, that's working now, but the image is not displaying properly, so I need to figure out why. I wonder if it is because of that URL story. So let's have a look. Wrong one. Actually the same code. Doesn't have the URL of the ID. There's something that I missed. Get theme file URI. That's probably what I missed. I wonder why that's different. let's see. Let's go back here. So now the pattern is working. Okay. So let's copy the code. Go back to the pattern. Right. Clean this up. What if it's the cleanup that I'm doing? I think so. It's all just HTML. But let's see. Okay, and then let's take this and pop it in here. And so it's assets images water pattern. It's a JPEG. Water-pattern.jpg. What if that was the problem? Okay. And then this should be able to go there. But I shouldn't need that. Let's see. Backup ID. That's fine. Okay. I wonder what it doesn't like about that. What if there's an error being registered in the console somewhere? Oh, there it worked. Ha! Ha 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 ha! It was that ID. It was that. Okay, well that makes sense because we don't want the ID to be attached. It's interesting that threw an error though. I wonder why that is. Because I thought that's just a class. It should make a difference. Okay, but that's a good thing to note. So let's go back here and then let's say removing ID related data from pattern. Okay, so that's good to know. And then I just want to give an example of something that we'll do here. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do there yet, so I'll do it in a second. Oh, for crying out loud. 2 buttons? Oh, wait, oh no, let's do a Twitter button or something. That's a good example. Yeah, that's a good example. Not really, but it'll suffice. Okay, so that fixed our problem. We delete that, and then we go back to editor and we refresh, and we say add pattern, and we go to headers, and we can scroll down and we can select our pattern. And there it is. It would be cool if this pattern belonged to the site. So what might make more sense is to actually create a category called Let's Code. And so it's specific to the template. And then we can register the footer pattern to the Let's Code category and the cover image to the Let's Code category. That's a lot better. I like that. That's kind of cool, because then everything will just show up under Let's Code. And then we can find it easier. So if we refresh here, and we can close this now. Now if I add a pattern, I've got a Let's Code category, and then my specific theme patterns exist there. That's really cool. And then I can deregister the other categories if I want to. And I just realized I got an answer for somebody else who asked me about this a while back. You can actually just deregister all the default categories. So let's do that for the fun of it. We can unregister. So this will register the categories. And then let's unregister all the default ones. So buttons, columns, blah, 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 blah. Buttons, columns, featured. I'm going to do this cleverly. Pattern categories is an array. Can't spell array anymore. Okay. Buttons, columns, featured, footer. Buttons, columns, featured, footer, gallery, header, text, query. Gallery, header, text, query. I don't want to deregister Let's Code. This is not a variable. And then we will just, for each pattern categories as pattern category. That should work. So that registers my custom theme category and deregisters all the rest. Oh, that didn't work. That's largely annoying. I wonder if I'm doing it in the wrong place. The net hook. Okay. That's probably my problem. Okay, I'm just checking whether register should be hooked into anything. Register should also be in the init. Okay. So we'll register, and then we'll unregister, and then we'll unregister. And we'll go register my theme register, and then we'll register mine. Actually, we'll do it the other way around. deregister and then register mine. That's better. So unregister all the default ones, register my personal one, and let's see if that worked. Yay! And then uncategorized, which, I mean, can I even disable that? I wonder. I wonder if there's an option for that. There must be. It's probably just uncategorized. It's probably just a default option. So let's add that as well. And this is why you should always do this as an array of things, because then you just add that to the array. It'll just work. Let's try that again. Oh, it still shows up. I wonder if that's a bug. I don't know how I feel about that, but anyway, it's cool to show that, I guess. I wonder where all those uncategorized ones are coming from. Interesting. Oh, you know what it probably is? It's probably because those patterns don't have a category. So you're not disabling the category, you're just removing the category. What we want to do is disable the core block patterns. So how would you do that? Removing or hiding block patterns. Here we go, remove theme support. There we go, removes all core block patterns. Try that. And register core block patterns. Right, it's so important to read the docs, folks. See, now there's just some buttons and some queries. Interesting, so those must not be core. I wonder if it's because I've got Gutenberg installed on this thing. Let's see. I don't. Interesting. So where are those things coming from? Oh, here we go. So do that. So I'm going to guess that's a bug because I don't think they should show up there. So that's interesting. I'm going to do some research on that and see if it is a bug or not. I wonder what happens if you leave that like that. So let's do this. And then let's do that. See what that does. queries are still, yeah. It definitely looks like a bug to me. So I'm going to dig into that a bit more. I'm going to copy this code out and make a note for myself here. Investigate possible bug disabling core patterns. Okay, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover, which is kind of cool. Got my outline sorted out. Got everything working the way I wanted to. There's the deregister. There's a block pattern in functions. There's a block pattern there. And then we said an image and comments. I'm not going to worry about the comments. I don't think the comments are necessary anymore. That's good. Okay, so let's take a look at Justin's comments. Creating a block pattern. What is a block pattern? Designing a block pattern from the editor. Registering via patterns, registering via functions, registering category, deregistering patterns. Yes. Adding images and dynamic data via patterns, including patterns and tables. That's pretty much perfect. I think that covers. I love it when I see somebody else think the same way as I do because it verifies my thoughts. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to go back here and I'm going to comment on here. I'm going to say, Justin, yeah. Okay, so I'm just saying to Justin that if it was me, I would do the PHP registration first because I almost want to show people that it's possible, but then recommend they don't do it. Which is why I'm doing a Twitter button for that one, because a Twitter button will be easy to do, but the minute you want to do something over and above just a simple block markup, doing it in a patterns directory just makes more sense. But you can do it in plugins or classic themes even using the PHP way. So it's just an option, but I wouldn't recommend it. What would be cool, and this is something I was working on today, so there is a I wonder if it works in a classic theme. There is a ticket that I was working on. Now I'm going to find it. Hang on. About template parts in classic themes. Here. And what would be cool is if it was possible to just put files in a patterns directory in a classic theme. Recommended for block themes. But I just want to see if it's possible to... Yeah, it looks like you can. So that's something I wouldn't mind playing with between now and then, is whether you can just register a pattern in a classic theme by putting it in the patterns directory, but then you wouldn't be able to add it to a template anyway. So that kind of doesn't make sense. Hey, Georgie. Okay, I'll have to think about that a little bit. But that's cool. Okay, so I'm going to just leave it at that. So take a look at the outline. And I think it's great. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm good to go, yeah. Awesome, so those are patterns. I quite like what I've learned today. I definitely recommend reading this documentation on patterns in the theme handbook under advanced theme topics. There is a block patterns doc, and this is basically what I'll be covering on Thursday if you join me for the workshop. I won't be covering all of it, but this will definitely be a piece of documentation that I'll refer to. So I'm going to add this to my workshop. Just that I have it. But that's good. So that's me for today. I've done a nice little deep dive into patterns. I'm quite happy with everything that I've done here. I went over time slightly, so it is what it is. Cool. That is it. Bye.